Story begins with a young boy who says that he didn't remember what forced him to become a person like that, but this is the life that he always aimed for. He shows a mysterious look with his first appearance in which he is standing between two beautiful girls. He states himself as Eminence of Shadows. In the next scene we see his past memories as he says that become an eminence in shadow wasn't a child's fleeting fear dream. It was his passion for which he trained for years. In a scene we see him pulling dumbbells as he did boxing, karate, kendo and martial arts training every day so he could fight against odds someday. But he realizes that it doesn't matter how trained or strong he is, he couldn't beat a fully equipped army. He realizes that he could easily vaporized by a nuke because no biological being can escape such weapons. In the next scene we see him doing research about how to be one who wouldn't be vaporized by a nuke. He finds his answer in Harry Potter book. He finds that only magic can make him an undefeatable, so he masters yoga and meditation. He practices zazen under waterfall while fasting. He strikes his head against wall while being naked to achieve omniscience. And then one day he sees a flickering light coming towards him. He considers that light a spiritual power and runs towards it, and we see a crashing of him into a truck. As new scene begins we see him in present fighting with a young, beautiful girl. He declares that all previous things was his memories before his incarnation. In a scene we see the girl named One Chan defeats him with a strike. She is Claire Cageno, his sister. She seems to be unhappy with his fighting skills. We see that she calls down him for his amateur magic and sword skills. In another scene she breaks the whole mountain with sword using magic spell. His brother Sid Cageno looks inspired, but as she winds up the training and leaves, Sid becomes his true self. He collects huge rocks with his fingertips as he has mastered in magic many years ago. He says that it's because of his past life and being an eminence of shadow he must hide his fangs. As scene changes we see him running towards forest to fight bandits because he wants to train himself some more. In a new scene we see a group of bandits drinking and laughing in forest. They look happy to rob merchants. We see a clip of destroyed merchant city. They talk about a mother who asked them to let her son alive, but bandits feel proud as they killed them both. Suddenly our hero attacks them with his sword. He orders them to give him all looted gold, but bandits ask him who is he and what is his purpose. Sid gives a funny reply that he comes here to test his new slime sword, which is made up of slime. He attacks one of them and keep telling his sword's benefits in a funny manner. He kills them, but one bandit manages to save himself. He shouts to Sid and attacks him by saying that he is a master of royal Bushin style. But Sid shows him his sword's nifty function number 2 and kills him too. When he finishes he starts to collect gold. Suddenly he sees a cage with a decaying body. He realizes that the body is possessed, which means a mysterious illness that caused the body to rot and eventually leads to death. Sid says that he must keep this body for his research on magic. But when Sid opens the cage the body turns into a beautiful elf girl. The elf becomes amazed as she sees her body recovered. She bows down and says that she will devote her life to Sid for his kindness. We see confusion on Sid's face. Sid thinks and decides to make Elf his eminence in shadow follower. He gives her name Alpha and her goal that she have to prevent resurrection of Demon Diabolos. Elf asks about Demon Diabolos, so Sid tells her that once the world was at the risk of being destroyed by Demon Diabolos, but 3 heroes defeated him. With his dying breath, demon cursed heroes with possession that would be passed down in their generations. Sid continues to say that there is a group named the Diablos Cult who is trying to revive the demon. He encourages Elf to help him fight against all those cults while being eminence in shadow. Elf shows anger and promises him to follow him. Both are leaving. Sid smiles that he made an elf emotional by telling a story as there was no Diabolos Diom. Another scene begins and we see that Sid and Alpha turns 13 and Claire turns 15, so according to the law now she has to go to the school. But night before her first day at school she got kidnapped. Including their mom, dad, everyone is shocked because Claire was an extraordinary girl who knows magic. Their mom shouts at dad and Sid gets out from the room, and then third member of Shadow Garden enters in the scene. We see a young confident girl Beta who is investigating the kidnapping of Claire. She shows some documents to Sid and discloses that Claire is kidnapped by a high-ranked officer of Diablos Cult and possibly they are hiding in North. Alpha appears in the scene and suddenly Sid randomly throws his knife on ancient map to locate Claire's location, which is in South. Alpha gets shocked to know that Sid can understand secret Diabolos language too. They decides to depart tonight to rescue Claire. New scene arrives and we see Claire who is hanging with chains in somewhere in South, and a cult officer is trying to investigate her. Claire tells him about his brother. Cult man asks her that did she has black spots or rotting signs in her body. She says that yes, a year ago, but when Sid treated her she became fine. We see the cult officer looks confused as he decides to go for Sid instead of Claire. She gets angry, but the cult man named Lord Alba hits her hardly to bleed. Suddenly we see a guard informing Alba about invaders. In the new scene we see a clash between Shadow Gardens and Alba, who becomes shocked to see their strength and knowledge about Diablos cults. Alba attacks Beta but gets restricted by her. He escaped through magic and everyone remains shocked. They start to chase him and we see our hero Sid following him in a dark tunnel. Alba attacks him, but Sid was a master in magic. He stops Alba's sword only with his finger. He shows his powers to Alba while looks in deep fear. Alba keeps asking him about Shadow Gardens. He tries to scare Sid by eating anti-human pills that can break human limits. We see them both fighting in coming scenes, and finally Sid cuts him in two with his sword. They safely rescue Claire and get back to home. In next scene we see them eating dinner while Sid says that his sister's hand healed in one night, and now she has left for Capital. Beta and Alpha try to expose Diablos cults, but Beta complains that she got no response. In coming scenes we see Sid dreaming to become a true eminence under a sunset.